Bringing another how-to video on my Rizzini BR110 Sporter IPS today. This video was inspired by a comment I received through one of my other videos, and I thought I'd try to help them out and make a quick update, quick video on that. So what we're looking at today was a problem with the forearm not going on. And in the comment he said, he or she, said that they, couldn't get the forearm on and it's been going on for like 2 months, and they were, getting ready to send it back in or couldn't figure out what to do. So hopefully we can help you out. Mine was actually doing a similar thing. So mine was getting, I would say, tight to go on. I was kind of just ignoring it, hoping that it would break in, but it sounds like maybe something going on. So I just took a look at it today and trying to get you guys some information. So what I found today in doing this is we've got forearm here, and the way this works is the forearm's held on obviously in one direction by this is fixed going this way, and what keeps it from coming this way is obviously the latch here. But there's a surface in here, and I don't know all the technical terms, again, excuse me about that, but there's a surface in here, right here, that I'm pointing to, that mates up against this surface on the barrel latch. Let's see that. So this surface right here. So this surface is very important, where it's located. So what happens is this goes on and it has to get past that surface to latch all the way. And what's happening is this, I'm not sure what to call it. I call it a stopper surface for the forearm. This corner right here, oh god, that's terrible camera work, sorry. Damn it, I'm an engineer, not a cameraman. This edge of this surface right here is getting caught on the edge of this surface, because somehow, I don't know something's happening over time where that distance is changing, and it's getting too big. So first thing you're going to want to try, and you're going to need a couple tools here. You're going to need a couple flatheads. I actually had to especially grind one of the flatheads to fit these screws in here. You're going to need a 2mm Allen key, probably a file, and probably some Loctite, depending on how deep you have to go with your problem. So I think in the comment, so I guess the first thing is there's an adjustment here. So this little Allen screw, if you have a gap right here from this piece to this piece, if there's a little gap here, this 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, you may be able to get some adjustment out of it. So what you do is you're going to want to take this set screw, tighten it. Mine was pretty tight, and don't go too overboard with it, but give it a good tighten, and that's going to move a piece I'll show you in a minute that allows this latch to go back in a little bit, and so that'll give you a little bit extra room to get the forearm on. That's the first thing you're going to want to try. If that doesn't get you there, the second thing or additional thing you could do, which I've already done to mine, is carefully take a file, and this edge right here, I'm trying to point to it. Come on, camera. This edge right here, and just kind of knock the corner off and make sure it hasn't been, hammered a little bit sharp or have a burr on it. Mine was really sharp, and for that forearm to go on, it has to get past that corner of this latch and the corner of the latch on the forearm those things are knocking into each other, and that's why that forearm's not going to go all the way on. So just very lightly, don't go crazy, just lightly file or sand the bottom corner here and see if that does anything for you as well. Those are the two easy things to try. If that doesn't get you home, then we've got to dive into this guy. So you're going to need your screwdriver first here. So I'm going to take this apart. I've already loosened mine. They were actually not that fun to get off, these screws. So you're going to need to take this screw out here. This screw is kind of interesting because it has a, on the bottom here, that's a piece of steel, and it's actually the threads for this screw. Let's take that out. A lot of small parts, keep those organized. Take this screw out. Again, I'm making this look easy because I already have them loose. They were not this easy coming out. I think they have a bit of Loctite on. And then take out, there's two Phillips screws here. These are much easier to get out. Pop those out. Don't use any power tools. Just don't need to overstress anything or go crazy on anything here. Pop these guys out. Okay, and then, so get yourself some space because there's little parts in here. Oops. Pop out this guy and just be careful. There's a little, that's the only part you really need to take out. You can leave the rest of it in. There's a little spring right here that if you have it this way, it'll fall out. So it's no big deal if it falls out, just pop it back in, but it's tiny, so you might lose it. Just be careful. Okay, so back together a little bit. So again, this is the stopper for the latch system, and the way that works is when you tighten that set screw, what you're doing is that guy's on a ramp right there, and that set screw is kind of pushing on this steel plate, and it's pushing it towards the camera. And when it pushes it towards the camera, that allows this to go in just a little bit more. And it's a very, very fine adjustment. It doesn't give you a whole lot. I tightened mine as tight as I could with that little guy here, with this little guy, and I still couldn't get it to really improve. So the next thing I did was I took this all apart, just trying to figure everything out. And what I found worked for me was taking this off. So this screw holds the plate on, and I think I did get this one back tight a little bit. So this one's got some tension on it. This one's pretty difficult to get out too. So loosen that up or take it out. Actually, you only need it loose a little bit. Come on, baby. So just loosen that up. Now you can kind of hold this thing in place, and get my hand here. Now we can tighten this set screw, and it'll move really easy. And actually I can get it to where that thing bottoms out. We don't really want to be bottomed out, but just kind of squeeze everything together on the, I'm just kind of squeezing the bottom, and I'm trying to get a feel for where I need it. Like I'm visually, take a reference before you take this apart of this gap and maybe cut it in half or something to start with, so I can tighten this down now easily and get the adjustment where I want it, which I would guess is probably how they did it from the factory. And then once you have it where now it's back further, now we can come back and tighten this guy, and this is a lot easier to turn than the set screw. So tighten that. I'm not going to tighten it crazy right now. I'll come back later and tighten it. But give that a good tighten. And actually, what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to put a little, just a dab of Loctite on that and tighten that back up. And then now we just reassemble. And you can try that, see if that works for you. The other thing I did before I reassembled it was I took a file to this part as well, to this corner. So again, I'm just knocking the corners off real light, just so that it has a better chance to swing in, because you probably had the notice that when your barrel's off and you try to put it on, it goes on easy. And that's because this piece is basically coming up straight and you're not fighting against those corners. When you assemble it, when the barrel's on, or the back end's on, this thing's swinging into place. And when it swings, it's catching that edge. And that's what's stopping it from going on. And so if those edges are now round, it's going to have a better chance to kind of swing by those. So you might just want to do that while you're in there. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Just a very light, I don't know if you can see it, I have a very light radius. I tried to make it a radius as much as I could. I was just basically doing this with my file, just kind of lightly pulling it like that. This is a hardened steel, so it's pretty strong, but the file did knock it down. You probably get sandpaper to knock it down too. All right, so then after that, we're just going to reassemble. Now, if you reassemble this and you find that, you know, you've got this all the way bottomed out against there, like it can't go back anymore, and it still won't go on, then you've got some more serious issues. You're probably, best bet's probably going to have to send it back, and unless you know a gunsmith or something, but you're going to have to either add some clearance here for this to go back further, or you're going to have to maybe file this face down or this face down so it'll go back further. But actually, no, that won't work. It has to, if you're bottoming out, you have to add clearance here, and you'll probably still have to do something to these faces as well. So let me start over on that part, because I'm wrong. I was right the first time. If you're all the way back and you don't have any more work, any place to go, your options are grind that, or not grind that, machine that back so they can go back more, or don't machine that, machine this face of this latch so it's back more, or grind / machine this face so it can go back more. So those will be your options. Sorry, I'm wrong again. If you grind this face, it's not going to go back more unless you have clearance here. So it looks like your two options will be this here or this here. Sorry, I didn't think about that all the way through. So in our case, we didn't have to do that, luckily. So getting this back together, just reverse of disassembly, make sure your spring's in. It is a little tricky to like keep this in place while it's on. I find like kind of holding it sideways, or it takes a couple tries. I might not be able to do it on camera here very well with everything going on. I'll give it a shot. I was doing it this way before. Kind of have to hold it. Well, let me try the other way I was doing. Kind of set this piece in there. And set this piece, it goes in a track, so you have to like slide it in. And then you have to like get it settled enough. And there we go. You'll get the hang of it once you do it a couple times. And then from there, you're just putting in everything. I'm not going to put them in, save you guys time here, but put the right screws back in the right places. Give them a dab of Loctite, blue preferably, so you can get them back out if you need to. Put that back in the right spot. I would put just a little bit of Loctite on the wood screws. They weren't in crazy tight. They don't need to go back in crazy tight. but do hand start them. That way you're not cutting new wood when you put them in. You don't want to cut a new spot in there and then it's going to get all stripped out. So get those hand started. Screw these back in. Again, don't use any machines or drill drivers. Once you've got it this far, I found that you can do a little trial and error now that you have the two back wood screws in. So after that, you can see if you've done anything good. Boom, that goes on real easy. And it's a little loose now because I don't have these two screws in, but once I get those in, it'll be tight. So that is basically it. Hopefully you can do that. You can see right now I've got it pretty much all the way back. It's funny because when you take that part out, it has a 0.3 on it. So my guess is like it's 0.3 millimeters, and I'm willing to bet that at the factory they have different sizes of those so they can get that dialed in. So you want it to be very, very tight as it can be, but it still needs to go on. So all right, hopefully that helps you guys out, and we'll see you in the next one.